I earlier today posted this on Twitter, and I thought it could be useful to go over this in video format as well. So, Stronghold Digital Mining provided some guidance for fiscal year 2023. Expect to be at $45 to $50 a megawatt hour net cost of power beginning in Q1 2023. Net cost of power calculated as follows: fuel cost plus O&M expenses minus capacity revenue minus waste coal tax credit income divided by megawatt hours produced. Okay. And then I provided a link to the source of that information. So, utilizing Microsoft Excel, I was able to do some computations. Net cost of power in megawatt hours calculated as being around $49 a megawatt hour in Q1 2022. So when we take the fuel cost, operations and maintenance, capacity revenue, and waste coal tax credit income, which, by the way, all this information I found directly in the Q1 2022 10Q regulatory filing with the SEC that was made by Stronghold Digital Mining, and that can be looked up independently to confirm that these numbers are accurate. Once I gathered all that source material and I put it through the formula that was provided by the company, I was able to come up with 49.98, et cetera, et cetera. Let's just round it up to, say, roughly 50 megawatts an hour, or you can round it down to 49 megawatts an hour. You get my point. That's what we were able to achieve in Q1 2022 as it relates to a net cost of power in megawatt hours. Okay, now we move on to Q2 2022. Now, here you can see this number bumps up to about $66 a megawatt hour net cost of power. What's the big change? Well, O&M, operations and maintenance. That number did go up substantially. We move on to Q3 2022. What are we looking at here? About $76 a megawatt hour insofar as net cost of power. So needless to say, that number seems to be going up, right? Bear in mind, there was a lot of planned plant upgrades and maintenance being done at both Scrubgrass and Panther Creek throughout a good portion of 2022, so O&M got a bit heavy-handed. That is not something that's expected to continue really much longer. So when we look, for example, at Q4 2022, so that's the quarter we're in right now, net cost of power is estimated as being around $48 a megawatt hour in Q4 2022 or possibly in Q1 2023 if we're able to get our O&M expenses closer to the $10 million range. This would be in line with guidance of about $45 to $50 a megawatt hour, which was provided by the company, as we saw earlier, up here. Now, how reasonable is it to believe that we can achieve around $48 a megawatt hour insofar as net cost of power? Plausibly as soon as Q4 2022, but probably more realistically by Q1 2023. Well, if you look at the $10 million operations and maintenance figure, which I plugged in, and by the way, just for a little bit of background, all I did was for fuel costs, I averaged out Q1, Q2, Q3. So this is an average of those first three quarters. Same thing for capacity revenue. Let's do an average of Q1, Q2, Q3. And finally, for waste coal tax credit income, there too, let's do an average of Q1, Q2, Q3. So these numbers are fairly consistent with what's already taken place in 2022. And those numbers were relatively stable. The one number that clearly was not very stable was O&M, operations and maintenance. However, if we rewind to Q1 2022, notice how operations and maintenance was $10.5 million or thereabouts. So it's not inconceivable to believe that the company can achieve around $10 million in O&M expenses. So that's why I truly believe that the estimated range of around $45 to $50 a megawatt hour, insofar as net cost of power, that is highly achievable. There may be some spillover that still exists in Q4 2022 as it relates to some of the O&M that's been going on this year regarding plant upgrades and maintenance. But for the most part, the worst of that, so to speak, is behind us. I don't believe we're going to see anything close to $76 a megawatt hour as it relates to net cost of power. And so I think going into the new year, that range of $45 to $50 a megawatt hour is highly realistic and I think just very attainable. All right, thanks for tuning into the video. Look forward to speaking to you in the next one.